Capricorn, Capricorn. The sentence that makes Capricorn cut you off for good. There's one sentence that can make a Capricorn disappear from your life forever. Not dramatically. Not with a confrontation. Just gone. And the most terrifying part? You might never even realize what you said. Capricorns don't leave because of arguments. They don't leave because of mistakes. They leave because of something far more profound, something that touches the very core of how they built their entire existence. And when that line is crossed, there's no going back. No second chances. No explanations. Most people think they know Capricorn. The ambitious one. The responsible one. The one who always has it together. But what almost nobody talks about is the invisible boundary that Capricorn carries. A boundary so sacred, so deeply rooted in their survival mechanism, that once you cross it, you become a stranger to them instantly. This isn't about anger. This isn't about holding grudges. This is about something Capricorn learned very early in life, that their inner world must be protected at all costs. And when someone threatens that protection, even unintentionally, Capricorn's response is swift and absolute. Today, we're going to explore what happens behind that wall. What sentence triggers this irreversible shutdown? And more importantly, why this pattern exists in the first place. Because understanding this about Capricorn isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about understanding one of the most complex emotional defense systems in the Zodiac. Before we dive deep, if you recognize yourself in this or know a Capricorn who's done this, hit that subscribe button and leave a like. This content takes the invisible and makes it visible, and your support helps us continue creating these deeper explorations. And here's my question for you. Have you ever felt yourself shutting someone out completely, without fully understanding why? Or have you been on the receiving end of a Capricorn's permanent silence? Drop a comment. Let's talk about it. Because what we're about to uncover isn't just astrology. It's psychology. It's survival. It's the cost of being the person everyone depends on while feeling like no one truly sees you. Let's begin. Capricorn is built on one fundamental principle: self-reliance. From a very young age, Capricorn learns that the world doesn't wait, that feelings don't pay bills, that vulnerability is a luxury they can't afford. Whether through circumstance, family dynamics, or simply their soul's design, Capricorn becomes the person who carries weight, their own and everyone else's. And here's where it starts. Capricorn doesn't just become responsible. They become the architect of their own survival. They learn to build structure where there was chaos. They learn to create stability where there was uncertainty. They learn that if they don't take care of it, no one will. This trait is beautiful. It's what makes Capricorn the mountain: steady, unmovable, reliable. It's what makes them the one people call when everything falls apart. It's what makes them successful, respected, admired. But let me ask you something. What happens to a mountain that never stops carrying weight? What happens to someone who spends their entire life being strong for everyone else, but never gets to rest? Who builds their identity around being unshakable, but deep down feels the cracks forming? The origin of Capricorn's self-reliance isn't just ambition. It's protection. It's a response to a world that taught them early on: if you show weakness, you'll be abandoned. If you need help, you'll be a burden. If you fail, you'll lose everything. So Capricorn makes a silent vow: I will never be in that position. I will never need anyone. I will build something so strong that nothing can touch me. And they do. They build careers. They build reputations. They build walls disguised as boundaries. They build entire lives based on the principle that if they're strong enough, disciplined enough, successful enough, they'll finally be safe. But here's the hidden cost. Capricorn starts to believe that their worth is tied to their function, that they're valuable because of what they do, not who they are. That love is something you earn through achievement, not something you receive simply for existing. And this is where the first signs of conflict begin to appear. Because Capricorn becomes so good at being strong that people forget they're human. Capricorn becomes so good at handling everything that people stop asking if they're okay. Capricorn becomes so good at appearing unaffected that their pain becomes invisible, even to themselves. They smile through exhaustion. They work through heartbreak. They function through burnout. Because stopping would mean admitting they're not as strong as everyone thinks. And admitting that feels like betrayal. Betrayal of the image they've spent their entire life building. So they keep going. They keep climbing. They keep carrying. Until someone says the sentence that shatters the entire illusion. From the outside, Capricorn looks like they have it all figured out. They're the one with the plan. The one who shows up on time. The one who follows through. The one who doesn't complain, doesn't make excuses, doesn't fall apart when things get hard. They're the embodiment of discipline, maturity, and control. People see Capricorn and think they don't need anything from anyone. But that's not strength. That's a survival strategy. Because internally, Capricorn is carrying something most people never see. The weight of feeling like they can never stop. The exhaustion of being everyone's rock while crumbling inside. The loneliness of being surrounded by people who admire you but don't truly know you. Here's what Capricorn would never say out loud. I'm tired of being strong. I'm tired of being the one who has to have it together. I'm tired of feeling like my value only exists when I'm useful. But they don't say it. Because saying it would mean showing weakness. And showing weakness would mean losing the respect they've worked so hard to earn. And losing that respect would mean losing their identity. So instead, Capricorn maintains the image. They show up. They perform. They deliver. They smile and nod and say, I'm fine, even when they're barely holding on. And the world believes them. Because Capricorn is so convincing that even they start to believe their own performance. But inside, there's a quiet desperation. A voice that whispers in the silence. Does anyone actually care about me, or just what I can do for them? Would anyone stay if I stopped being useful? Am I loved, or am I just needed? And this is the split that defines Capricorn's existence. The external image of invulnerability versus the internal reality of exhaustion. They become masters of compartmentalization. They create a version of themselves for the world, the competent, reliable, unshakable Capricorn. And they lock their real feelings in a vault so deep that sometimes even they forget it's there. But the cost of this performance is immense. Because maintaining two versions of yourself is exhausting. Pretending you don't need support while desperately craving it creates a cognitive dissonance that eats away at your soul. And worst of all, the more successful Capricorn becomes at this act, the more isolated they feel. Because success reinforces the image. Achievement reinforces the expectation. And every time someone says, I knew I could count on you, it reinforces the belief that Capricorn's value lies in their ability to not need anything from anyone. So they keep giving, keep performing, keep pretending, until someone, intentionally or not, says something that exposes the painful truth Capricorn has been running from their entire life. That they've built their entire identity on being strong for others, and they have no idea who they are when they're not carrying someone else's weight. And that's when Capricorn cuts you off. Not because you were mean, not because you were cruel, but because you saw through the wall. And Capricorn can't afford for anyone to see what's behind it. If you observe Capricorn closely, you'll notice something. The same patterns repeat over and over. They give too much in relationships, then resent the other person for taking. They overwork themselves into exhaustion, then wonder why they feel empty. They build walls to protect themselves, then feel lonely inside the fortress they created. They test people's loyalty constantly, then push away the ones who pass the test. It's a cycle, and Capricorn knows it. But knowing it doesn't make it stop. Because these patterns aren't random. They're protective mechanisms that once served a purpose. They're behaviors that helped Capricorn survive difficult circumstances. But what helped them survive is now preventing them from truly living. Let me walk you through the cycle. Phase 1. The investment. Capricorn meets someone, a friend, a partner, a colleague. And because Capricorn doesn't do anything halfway, they invest. They show up. They support. They carry weight. They become indispensable. But here's the trap. Capricorn isn't just being generous. They're unconsciously testing. They're asking, will you stay even when I'm giving everything? Will you prove you're different from everyone else who took advantage of my strength? Phase 2. The imbalance. Over time, the relationship becomes one-sided. Capricorn is giving 80%, 90%, sometimes 100%. The other person gets comfortable. They start expecting Capricorn to always be the strong one, the reliable one, the one who solves problems. And Capricorn? They notice. They keep score. They watch silently as the balance tips further and further. But they don't say anything, because saying something would mean admitting they need more. And admitting need feels like failure. Phase 3. The resentment. Slowly, quietly, resentment builds. Capricorn starts to feel used, undervalued, taken for granted. They start to wonder, would this person even care about me if I stop being useful? But instead of communicating this, Capricorn pulls back emotionally. They're still there physically, still showing up, still helping. But internally, they've already started to leave. Phase 4, the test. This is where it gets tricky. Capricorn starts testing. They stop initiating. They pull back slightly to see if the other person will step up. They wait for someone to ask, "Are you okay?" or "What do you need?" But most people don't notice, because Capricorn has been so good at appearing fine that no one thinks to check. And when no one checks, Capricorn's worst fear is confirmed. I'm only valuable when I'm useful. Phase 5, the shutdown. And then it happens. Someone says something that might seem small, something that might even be unintentional, but it confirms everything Capricorn has been afraid of. Maybe it's, "You're so strong, you don't need anyone. I knew you'd handle it. You always have it together." And just like that, Capricorn's done. Not angry, not hurt in a visible way, just done. The door closes, the wall goes up, and you're permanently on the outside. Because that sentence, whatever it was, proved to Capricorn that you never saw them. You only saw what they could do for you. You fell in love with their function, not their humanity. And Capricorn would rather be alone than be valued for the wrong reasons. This pattern repeats because Capricorn keeps choosing people who confirm their deepest fear, that they're not lovable for who they are, only for what they provide. And the tragedy is they often don't recognize they're doing it. Over time, this pattern doesn't just affect relationships. It seeps into every area of Capricorn's life. It affects their career choices. They take jobs that demand everything from them because at least their value is clear and measurable. They work themselves to exhaustion because stopping feels like losing purpose. It affects their sense of self. They start to believe they are what they do, that their identity is their resume, that rest is laziness and vulnerability is weakness. It affects their emotional health. The exhaustion accumulates. The resentment compounds. The loneliness deepens. And Capricorn starts to feel like they're living in a prison of their own making. A prison where they're both the guard and the prisoner. Because here's the heartbreaking truth. Capricorn's biggest fear isn't failure. It's being seen as someone who needs help. It's being perceived as weak, as needy, as not having it together. So they keep the mask on. They keep performing. They keep proving they're strong enough, successful enough, disciplined enough to not need anyone. But what happens to consistency when it's built on suppression? What happens to stability when it's maintained through denial? What happens to security when it costs you your emotional authenticity? Capricorn starts making decisions from a place of avoidance rather than desire. They choose relationships that feel safe but unfulfilling. They stay in situations longer than they should because leaving would mean admitting they made a mistake. They sacrifice their own needs in the name of responsibility. And the saddest part? People rarely notice. Because Capricorn is so good at functioning through pain that their suffering becomes invisible. They show up to work with a smile while dealing with a personal crisis. They support everyone else through their problems while privately falling apart. They celebrate other people's wins while quietly mourning their own losses. The emotional cost accumulates like interest on a debt that never gets paid. And eventually, Capricorn reaches a point where they realize, I've spent my entire life being what everyone needed me to be, and I have no idea who I actually am. This is the long-term consequence of Capricorn's pattern. Not dramatic collapse, not visible breakdown, but a slow erosion of self, a gradual disconnection from their own humanity, a quiet resignation to the belief that this is just how life is when you're the strong one. And when you've lived this way for years, decades, even, it becomes terrifying to imagine another way. Because who would Capricorn be without the weight? Who would they be if they weren't needed? Who would they be if they allowed themselves to rest, to need, to be human? These questions feel dangerous. So Capricorn doesn't ask them. They just keep climbing, keep building, keep carrying, until someone reminds them of the cost. And that's when everything changes. Here it is. The sentence that makes Capricorn cut you off forever. It's not always the same words, but it carries the same message. You're so strong, you don't need anyone. I knew you'd handle it. You always have it together. I don't worry about you because you're a Capricorn. These sentences sound like compliments. They sound like respect, admiration, even love. But to Capricorn, they're a prison sentence. Because what Capricorn hears is, your feelings don't matter because you're supposed to be strong. I don't see your pain because you hide it too well. I've made you responsible for holding everything together, and I don't want that to change. Your value to me is your ability to not need me. And in that moment, something inside Capricorn breaks. Not loudly, not visibly, but irreversibly. Because that sentence confirms Capricorn's deepest, most painful belief, that they are not loved for who they are, but for what they provide. That their humanity has been erased in favor of their function. That they've become a tool, not a person. And once Capricorn realizes this, there's no going back. They don't argue. They don't explain. They don't give you a chance to fix it. Because from Capricorn's perspective, if you didn't see them before, you never will. If you couldn't recognize their humanity through the performance, then you never truly knew them at all. So they leave. Quietly. Completely. Permanently. They'll still be polite if they see you. They'll still be professional if they work with you. But the door to their inner world, the one you maybe didn't even know existed, is now locked. Forever. And here's what makes this so heartbreaking. Capricorn doesn't want to do this. They don't want to cut people off. They don't want to be this way. But they're protecting something that feels more important than any relationship. Their sense of self. The fragile, hidden part of them that still believes, somewhere deep down, that they deserve to be seen as more than their achievements. That they deserve to be loved even when they're not strong. That they deserve to be human. Cutting you off isn't cruelty. It's survival. Because staying connected to someone who can't see your humanity slowly kills the part of you that's still hoping someone will. This is Capricorn's tragedy. They're incredibly capable of deep, lasting, loyal love. But they've been hurt so many times by being reduced to their strength that they'd rather be alone than risk being unseen again. And the worst part? Most people never realize what they lost. Because Capricorn was so good at seeming fine that their absence doesn't create chaos, it creates silence. A silence that speaks volumes about everything Capricorn was carrying that no one ever noticed. If you're a Capricorn watching this, I want you to know something. Your strength is real. Your discipline is admirable. Your ability to carry weight is extraordinary. But you are not just your strength. You are not just your achievements. You are not just your ability to function through pain. You are not just the mountain everyone else climbs. You are human. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to need support. You are allowed to rest without losing your worth. And the people who truly love you, the ones worth keeping, they won't love you less when you're not being strong. They'll love you more because they'll finally get to see the real you. The pattern you've been living isn't your fault. It was a survival mechanism that helped you get through difficult times. But you're not in survival mode anymore. You're allowed to live, not just function. Live. And living means letting people see you. The real you. The one who's tired sometimes. The one who needs help sometimes. The one who doesn't always have it together. That version of you is not weakness. That version of you is courage. Because it takes more strength to be vulnerable than it does to pretend you're invincible. It takes more courage to ask for help than it does to carry everything alone. It takes more maturity to admit you're human than it does to maintain a perfect image. You've spent your whole life proving you're strong enough. You don't have to prove it anymore. You've already proven it 1,000 times over. Now it's time to prove something else, that you're brave enough to be seen. And if people leave when you stop performing, let them. Because they were never yours to begin with. They were in love with what you could do for them, not who you are. The right people, the ones who deserve you, they'll stay. They'll see your vulnerability as a gift, not a burden. They'll see your humanity as beautiful, not weak. They'll see you, finally, as a whole person. And when that happens, you'll realize something. Being seen is so much better than being admired. Being known is so much deeper than being needed. Being loved for who you are is so much more fulfilling than being valued for what you do. You've been the mountain for everyone else long enough. It's okay to be the valley sometimes. It's okay to let the water flow through you. It's okay to rest. Your worth doesn't disappear when you stop climbing. It was always there. You just couldn't see it through all the weight you were carrying. So here's my question for you. Whether you're a Capricorn or you love one, at what moment did you realize that being strong for everyone else was costing you yourself? Or, if you've been cut off by a Capricorn, do you now understand why? I want to hear your stories. Drop them in the comments. Let's create a space where Capricorns can finally say what they've been holding in, where they can be seen, where they can be human. Because this isn't just about astrology. This is about the cost of being the person everyone depends on. This is about the invisible weight that functional people carry. This is about what happens when you sacrifice your humanity in the name of responsibility. And if this resonated with you, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a like. Share this video with a Capricorn who needs to hear this. Because content like this doesn't go viral on its own. It spreads because people like you recognize the truth in it and want others to feel less alone. And before you go, I want you to watch the next video in this series. Because we're going deeper. We're going to talk about what happens when Capricorn finally decides to stop performing. When they finally choose themselves. When they finally let the wall come down. It's called What Happens When Capricorn Finally Stops Being Strong. And if this video hit you, that one will change you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for seeing what most people miss. You're not alone in this. And your strength doesn't define your worth. See you in the next one.